First coined in ancient times, the word canon referred to those parts of the Christian scriptures that were considered to be totally freaking true. Christianity was fragmented, with many conflicting beliefs. It was decided from on high that religion should be codified, standardized, and canonized, so everyone knew what it was okay to believe. This made a lot of people unhappy, and was largely considered to be a bad move. Wars were fought, people died, then it calmed down for a little while, and then Martin Luther decided to start it up again, and they still can't decide on what they all believe. Canon is just one of those things that people always seem to argue about. Thankfully today, such arguments are reserved for the nerdiest of nerd subcultures, on message boards, on 4chan, on Reddit, on Facebook, and on Twitter and Tumblr. In no fandom is canon more contentious than in Doctor Who. I know, crazy, right? A long-running sci-fi TV series with bits missing, and bits that contradict other bits, that spans several mediums, all independently written, with little consideration to continuity. Should be easy, right? Yeah, no problem there, nothing to worry about. We just got 3 different versions of Atlantis, 2 doctors doing Sharda. The Doctor is a human who built the TARDIS. No, I am not talking about the Peter Cushing Dalek movies. While being a Time Lord who's half human, and let's not forget those bloody Morbius doctors. The current showrunner nearly destroyed the entire show trying to fix that one. It still doesn't work. There's so much conflicting shit in this show that people devote good portions of their lives and half of their sanity to try and make it make sense. And that's just a TV show. Throw in the extra media and this mess is just incredible. We got comics, audio dramas, fan-made things that later get referenced and make the jump to the show, and the list goes on and on. Surely there must be a better way. Well, in order to understand this, we're going to have to look into the history of the show and get some understanding of how we got to this point in the first place. Back in the early days of television, people simply didn't give a fuck. Reruns are still a thing of the future, and broadcasters simply didn't care. They treated TV the same way they would stage plays. Cheap sets, stationary cameras, those things were total units, and a lot of content was made for live broadcast, never to see the light of day again after the first airing, unless you want to fly into deep space and somehow retrieve the 70-year-old signal. Doctor Who was filmed in very much the same way, despite it being pre-recorded. It saved a lot on editing, and also meant that any mistakes stayed in. And nobody could stop old Will Hartnell from completely obliterating the fourth wall to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. The result is a complete mess with no regard for continuity outside individual stories. The people running the BBC simply didn't expect anyone would have the opportunity to watch all of them together. It's hard to imagine today, but binge watching wasn't really a common thing until the 2010s. Home media wasn't a thing until the 80s, this was the 60s, and big bulky video reels weren't cheap, so it was common practice to reuse the tapes. This is how we lost a lot of early Who, and since the writers couldn't watch previous episodes, they had no way of knowing if they were breaking continuity. Not even all the show could be considered canon, let alone everything else. Comics, novels, audio, fan-made films, all resulting in Doctor Who being one big wibbly-wobbly ball of contradicting timey-wimey stuff. So how do we assemble a timeline out of this? There's a lot of great stories in all mediums, and I know what you're thinking, fan productions are just fan fiction, you idiot. Yeah, about that. So is Kate. Yes, that's right, the Brigadier's daughter first appeared in a non-official fan production called Downtime by Real Time Studio, but it's more or less been canonised. A lot of things made by fans and non-show media, especially in the Wilderness years, have been added to the show's canon. That's what the show is now. It's fans of the original show making fan fiction. So where the hell do we draw the line? Fan-made things can also be really freaking good. This is a high-quality production called Exhausted Supplies. It's a multi-doctor story featuring the 9th and 12th Doctors, and it's bloody brilliant. The sound likes are wonderful, the sound production is almost Big Finish levels of good. Give it a listen, it's good. So what counts and what doesn't? Good question, and it's a tough one. There's a few different approaches people tend to take, and none of them seem to work for everyone. Some tend to go with the approach of show only. And if that's your approach, good on you. You're probably not into the extended media and you shouldn't have to be. The show should stand on its own merits. But you also have to contend with the fact that the show's canon isn't exactly consistent either. There's also this idea that each medium is its own self-contained universe that also happens to include everything from the show. But what about when the show starts mentioning stuff from the other stuff? The best example of this was in Night of the Doctor, when the 8th Doctor name-dropped his audio-only companions before he died. Does that mean all the Big Finish is canon now, or just the stories that those companions are mentioned in? I don't know, when it comes to canon I like to go with a more personal approach. Not all of it can fit together. You're sort of forced to pick and choose what you like, and what makes sense to you, and form your own personal canon. This is very appealing to me. It makes Doctor Who a very personal and very interactive experience. Don't like Kill the Moon? No worries, mate. Chuck it in the bin, it's not part of your canon. The BBC takes the approach of not really making any judgment or proclamation on what is and isn't true canon. Unlike other sci-fi series like Star Wars or Star Trek or Farscape that declare their canon from on high, the BBC say that anything with the license is bona fide Doctor Who. They just leave it to us to pick and choose what we like. The TV show takes precedence, of course, but everything else with the license is super heckin' valid. So this is the approach that I've been taking for the last few years. The comics, novels, audios, and the TV show are all canonical, especially the parts that contradict the other bits. The show is the primary source, an arbiter of what is and isn't canon. Everything else is secondary. The audios, comics, novels, fanfiction, and even your stupid fan theories, if it doesn't conflict with the events of the show, it's canon. Even if the events in the audios conflict with those of the novels, they're all still potentially canonical, but just in a state of flux until the show either confirms or denies them. Stephen Moffat once said that it is impossible to have a cohesive canon in a show that involves time travel and dimension hopping, and he's 100% right. History is constantly being rewritten in this show. It exists within a multiverse where everything that can conceivably happen will happen.
Is this a story or did this really happen?
Every story ever told really happened.
Whether you just watch the show, consume the extended media, or refuse to acknowledge anything that happened after 1989, your view of the show and the Doctor Who universe matters. Just don't take it too seriously. Have fun with it. It's yours. Doctor Who doesn't belong to any one person. I mean, sure, on paper it belongs to the BBC, but really it belongs to its fans. When the BBC axed the show and did everything in their power to destroy it forever, it was the fans who kept it alive. They wrote stories, made films, whether they had the rights to it or not. It's fans who brought it back in 2005. It is fans who keep the show going today. We watch the show, we buy the merch, we consume the extended media, and in some cases, we write and act it out. It's fan-made. It belongs to us. Every story really happened, and every single one of them matters. Except for Kill the Moon, that was right garbage. Thanks for watching. Do the usual YouTube things, like and subscribe, leave a comment down below. Like and subscribe. Did I mention like and subscribe? You should like and subscribe. My roster of work is actually going to allow me to make videos now, so I'm going to try and put one out once a week. Next video is going to be a video where I review the first episode of the Chibnall Era and try and find some sense in it. Maybe there is something salvageable about it, maybe there isn't. We'll see. If you like what I do, please like and subscribe. Did I mention like and subscribe? Please, I need the validation. Somebody pay attention to me. I want attention. Give me attention, please. Bye!